Welcome to Feast 101 Guides with Frosty. Today my job is to get your foot in the door with White Mage over the next 7 minutes. There are 5 parts to this video. We will go over your core healing spells, your Lily abilities, utility spells, a few general healer tips, and of course your recommended traits and additionals. Each part is extremely valuable to having a solid foundation with White Mage. Let's start with the core of your healing first. You have 3 spells that you will constantly be using throughout the match. Cure 1, Cure 2, and Regen. Cure 1 is your heal that you'll use when incoming damage is very low and no one needs immediate healing. It heals for 2500 and only costs 250 mana, and each time anyone is healed with this spell you will gain 1 Lily stack. Cure 2 heals for double the amount of cure, but costs 4 times as much mana. You will use this to combat burst and high damage output. It will also give you 1 Lily each use. Your third heal is Regen. It heals for 1500 every tick for 15 seconds. And cost 500 mana. It's generally used for countering damage over time, helping keep players topped off, and adding that extra cushion against burst. You'll have to find the right balance of using these spells to keep people alive and not run out of mana. In general, you'll be using Regen and Cure 1 to keep HP bars at full, and Cure 2 to counter burst and for any immediate healing. Try to keep Regen on any targets you expect to take any incoming damage. Now that you have a full grasp on the core healing skills, let's talk about what you'll be doing with these lilies that you're gaining from Cure 1 and Cure 2. There are 3 abilities that when you cast it, it will consume the lilies that you've built up. And depending on how many lilies it does consume, it will reduce the cooldown of that ability by a certain amount. 1 lily will be 10%, 2 25%, and 3 50%. Each of these abilities are instant cast, don't cost mana, and are very powerful when battling burst and high damage. The first is Tetragrammaton, which heals for 3500 and has a base cooldown of 20 seconds. The second is Divine Benison. It applies a shield for 25% of the target's HP and has a base cooldown of 30 seconds. The last, and certainly not the least, is Protect. It prevents all incoming damage by 25% for 10 seconds. It has a base cooldown of 40 seconds. In a perfect world, you'll have 3 lilies for every time that you want to cast one of these abilities. That's not always going to be the situation though. In priority, having 3 lilies for Protect is the most important, then Divine Benison, then Tetragrammaton. But you just kind of have to assess the situation. If you think someone's going to die if I don't cast this, then you should probably cast it. Unless you want them to die. Now let's get into the rest of your skills and abilities. Ascize is an ability that heals your teammates around you for 1500 and damages enemies for 1000. The most important use of this ability is the 2500 mana it restores. Because of that, you want to use it every time it's up, about every 30 seconds. The only reason you wouldn't is if you're above 7000 to 7500 mana, then you won't get the real full benefit of the mana gain. Fluid Aura is an amazing and underused ability White Mages have. It does a 10 yawn pushback and binds the target, and it can be used every 20 seconds. This ability is great defensively. For example, if their team is bursting and you use this on their melee, you can prevent a large amount of the damage all happening at once. Last, and I'd say least, is Stone 3. While this spell is your only means of doing damage outside of Ascize, it's only 1000 damage and it costs 500 mana. Most of the time, you'll want to use your downtime to spread out regens or gain lilies with Cure 1. It's best to use when you're continuing to follow up after a kill on their team, or if you can time it safely during your team's burst to push that damage a little bit over. But practicing to keep your team alive without draining your mana completely should be your main goal starting out. Now I'd like to leave you with some quick tips that apply to most healers. Your Adrenaline Rush or Limit Break ability will cast an instant 50% heal on your teammates and yourself. It's a great tool to recover from dangerous situations where all of your teammates' health is low, but you will likely only have access to it once a match, since in most cases you'll let your DPS and tanks get the adrenaline kits first. While it's most powerful as an AoE heal, I still subscribe to the thought that if it's your only option to keep someone from dying, you should use it. Okay, now let's talk about a key point of PvP for all jobs. Positioning. Where you stand matters. Your ideal position will be the one that lets you heal your allies and avoid your enemies. When you're under attack, your goal is to line of sight the enemy as much as possible during the attack and make yourself an undesirable target, while keeping yourself alive. Maybe even just running around walls can get you pretty far. When you aren't being attacked, being somewhere that gives you a good view of your allies to heal them as well as follow them if needed, and being a difficult target to swap to is your main goal. Learning positioning is one of the key aspects to any job, but especially for healers. My last 2 bits of advice before getting into the additionals and traits revolve around the metals and Wolfheart. In general, you want to avoid doing anything that makes you a more interesting target than you already are. If you die, your team will not be receiving any heals from you for about 12 seconds and could easily result into another kill. If you pick up medals, you will be taking more damage and you will be giving more medals as a reward to the other team. If required, pick them up near the end of the game, but usually during the start and the first half of the game you want to avoid it, unless you're very confident you will stay alive. When it comes to Wolf's Heart, you should encourage your team and remind them when it spawns at the 3-minute mark. Getting this for yourself will increase how many heavy heals you can do before you run out of mana. Cure 2 is extremely powerful. Being able to cast it more without running out of mana will make you that much better of a healer. Before ending, let's just quickly touch on additionals and traits. For additional abilities, most healers will choose Muse and Purify. Muse will allow you again to cast more powerful heals without running out of mana quickly. And most of the time, if you cast it as long as you're below 7,000 to 7,500 mana, no value will be lost to having the ability. Getting Purify is mostly because you'll be the target of crowd control abilities like Sleep and Stun, and giving the team just that much more of a chance to burst without you healing. Purify will get you out of those situations quicker and can easily save a life. Traits are a little more person to person with the exception of one. You must get the increased resistance duration to crowd control. This means you will get 50% more uptime throughout the match if they are using heavy crowd control on you. For the rest, I personally like the lean on mana regen and higher defense or increased healing, but it's entirely up to what you feel helps you the most. I hope this quick video will help you in your venture into the world of healing with White Mage. Remember, always analyze what you can do better before analyzing what your teammates can do. Good luck and enjoy Feast.